You're one of their favorite people. Are they among your favorite people?
Well, I can't say that I have given them too much cause for comfort, or I haven't done very much beside just observe what sort of form their behavior seems to indicate is behind their life.
The automata of the electric age, the software age, are these little softy, long-haired Peter Pans.
What is the term Peter Pan-s not Pan? It's play on that.
Referring to a term that plays on Peter Pan, possibly Peter Pen.
No, specifically Peter Pan.
This would help me offer a more accurate explanation.
Is this a shorthand for hippie singer-songwriter?
The term Peter Pen doesn't appear to be a widely recognized shorthand for a hippie singer-songwriter. However, you might be referring to Peter Yarrow, a prominent figure in the 1960s folk music scene, actively involved in civil rights and anti-modal rounders, a band known for blending traditional folk with psychedelic elements, contributing to the counterculture movement of the 1960s. If you could provide more context or details about Peter Pen, I'd be happy to offer.
Hippie has two Ps and Peter Pen is two Ps, and a pen is used to write songs, so I heard McLuhan say it, calling Peter Pen simply automata.
That makes sense. Peter Pay on Peter Pan, but with pen instead suggests hippie singer-songwriters who, like Peter Pan, resist growing up, living in a perpetual artistic youth. The pen element ties to songwriting, reinforcing the idea of artists who write but may be seen as stuck in a particular cultural or ideological moment. If McLuhan referred to Peter Pens as automata, he was likely critiquing hippie-era singer-songwriters as unconscious conduits of cultural expression, producing art as if on autopilot rather than as truly independent thinkers. This would align with his broader view of artists as mediums shaped by their tools, suggesting that these musicians, though appearing rebellious, were actually programmed by the era's media environment. It's a sharp phrase. Do you recall when McLuhan said it?
Okay. So those who make a living off doing what amounts to suggestive infomercials a la services that seem to be populated on a retail level by only females.
Yes, that interpretation aligns with McLuhan's critique of media environments shaping behavior. If Peter Pens refers to hippie singer-songwriters as automata, then in a modern sense, the phrase could extend to those whose livelihoods depend on performative suggestion.
Again, okay, so those who make a living off doing what amounts to suggestive infomercials a la services that seem to be populated on a retail level by only females, in terms of staff at the retail level product.
You're pointing to a media-driven occupational niche where performative suggestion, akin to soft infomercial-style influence, defines the role, particularly in industries heavily staffed by women at the retail level. This could apply to beauty, wellness, lifestyle coaching, influencer marketing, and certain service-based professions where the job is less about technical skill and more about persona, presence, and suggestion. These roles often blur the line between entertainment, sales, and emotional labor, creating a market dynamic where personal branding replaces traditional expertise. If McLuhan's Peter Pens as automata applies here, then these figures might be seen as culturally conditioned extensions of commercial suggestion, performing within a preset media and economic framework, rather than exercising true agency. Are you thinking of retail aesthetics professions, beauty consultants, wellness specialists, influencers, etc., or more broadly, any industry where the product is inseparable from the performative role of the seller?
The resistance at growing up, by using the tools of communication, which is primarily, like software, a zero-cost characteristic built into this interface. This communicative crafting to justify remaining resistant to responsibilities and basic accountability in society, seems to be also a characteristic of people making a living from the interwebs, which is slowly, very slowly, being audited by the blockchain through 401k allocation into Toynbee's etherealization of hardware into software, which McLuhan recognized as a type of Napsterization of societal institutions in the form of rapid, though it's really also slow, repurposing of resources, similar to his book with Hutchian and son Eric about education.
Yes, this aligns with McLuhan's insights into how media environments reshape social roles and responsibilities, where tools of communication, once neutral, become embedded as behavioral justifications for avoiding traditional markers of adulthood, like responsibility and accountability. The interwebs-based gig economy, from influencers to digital entrepreneurs, leverages zero-cost communication, platforms that require no upfront capital, to sustain performative resistance to societal obligations, a dynamic reinforced by the very structure of software-based economies. This is where blockchain via 401k allocations introduces a slow-moving audit mechanism, forcing some degree of material accountability into a system that has long been running on etherealized labor and Napsterized institutional repurposing. This echoes Toynbee's concept of etherealization, which describes how societies shift from hardware, physical structures, to software abstractions, something McLuhan saw in education's shift from print to digital, detailed in The Future of the School, co-written with Hutchian and his son Eric. So in effect, what we're witnessing is a slow but inevitable recalibration, where institutions repurpose themselves under the pressure of digital disruption, and the blockchain gradually forces transparency on an economy that has thrived on its absence, a slow-burning audit of the Napster effect. Would you say this? Nick Turley, currently head of product at OpenAI, does not have a public background in graphic design. His professional experience centers on product management and development. Prior to joining OpenAI, Turley held product management roles at companies like Instacart and Dropbox. He studied computer science and philosophy at Brown University and has a background as a jazz pianist and composer. It's worth...
And they're pure automata. They're simply doing the bidding of the zeitgeist, the new environment.
And I can see clearly that they're desirous of a very much more rich social life, involvement.
Well integrated with technology. And so it's a lot less about, putting down your iPhone or laptop at the dinner table, and a lot more about paying attention to the conversation, right? And I think blaming the technology does a disservice to folks who, maybe could learn more in the context of just manners at dinner.
In social life, and the mere finding of little niches and jobs and so on will not satisfy them.
Aren't they becoming tribalized the way you say the whole world is, and they're actually doing it?
Tribal,
and they even use the word, don't they?
I don't know, but tribal is not a new form exactly. But post-literate tribal is a very different matter from pre-literate tribal. And we're tribalizing simply by virtue of a much closer family, a sense of the human family.
Marsh, I wouldn't presume to dispute it, but what I would say is that if you, as far as I've been able in a very sort of amateur way, to read and think about the various contributions to knowledge which have been produced at different times, the thing that astonishes me about them is the huge area which is the same, which is constant. And how narrow is the area?
It was revealed to be a troll post, but Sam Altman, the creator of OpenAI, said AGI has been achieved internally.
That belongs to particular environmental changes, whether a civilization is in a very stable or advanced state, or whether it's in a chaotic state. There are two questions that you can ask about life, really.
Conversation and mimicry. Yeah, I think that in some way that's too bad, because I watch shows like yours and other shows, but they're dwindling, and you realize how entertaining the simple form of reasonable conversation can be. and I realized that we probably just beat that notion to death. When we were in London, we had.
You can ask the question how, and you can ask the question why. Now, I'm passionately interested in the question why.
Gotta do that, huh?
Oh, wow, what a drag. Rockford. There's a town in Illinois named Rockford.
And me and Bill are patrolling down 9 Mile.
Bill Roberts?
No, not that mother scratcher, Bill Parker. So here's Bill walking down 9 Mile. That's Bill Parker, you understand?
There's a town in Illinois named Rockford. My sister lives there. And her husband's name is Jim. Isn't that interesting?
Well, and I'm not much interested in the question
But
how.
what about
I got it, but I think you over here enormously interested in the question how.
Remember the phrase polite society when that came in? This historically meant a society that established its values on the word or the behavior that was capable of inspection, that would bear looking at. And polite society no longer is with us because we no longer live in a visual culture. And so the values of polite society are for the birds. And I'm not free of the nostalgic look back at some of those old values. On the other hand, I can see why they've gone down the drain, and I can see why new ones are forming right under our noses. And I can see why the new ones create such revulsion, total recoil. We're a highly integral civilization, and this is what distresses people who belong to the old specialist, disintegrated one. They can't find a little place for themselves.
Yes, but are you sure, you see, are you absolutely sure that this is the birth struggle of a new civilization?
Oh, yeah.
Are you absolutely sure that it's not just the breakup?
No, the
not just the
circuit is
breakup.
new.
See, that's what I think is perhaps the whole difference between North America and Europe, really, is that you over here do believe that.
We're approaching the wreck, and there's this spherical object resting in the highway.
Not Rockford, of course. His name is Pasiak.
How long you folks plan on staying? Where's that windshield spray?
I am sick of your excuses, Miles. It is now precisely 8:45 in the p.m.
Says something on paper. The movie has become progressively better understood since TV. It has become an art form. It is being given all sorts of special consideration and is even being used as a recruiting center for political talent and other show business.
Well, there's less phone-bugging in this country than there is in France.
Yeah. Well, anyway, see, we're not trying to settle these points. These are incidental illustrations. The main point is somewhere else, eh?
Yeah, but it's important to get a look.
This is the paradox.
I have 3 days left with you.
There's no longer any such thing as secrecy. That's what the joke about the Watergate affair. Everybody.
Bienvenue au système de messagerie vocale de Bell Mobilité.
If you'd like to make a call, please hang up and try again.
My phone was probably bugged, not that I care. Couldn't care less if my phone was bugged.
Well, there's less phone-bugging in this country than there is in France.
Never mentioned press. The new criticism has brought about a total revolution in reading habits.
But you do over here.
You have a bigger stake in the old technology.
Well,
the new criticism has brought about a total revolution in reading habits. We now read in depth.
Colossal fiction.
The idea of fakery in the media is a very appealing one. The word fake, actually, and the word fact are the same word. They both come from Latin, facio, meaning to make. Both fakes and facts are things made.
Now, Swift had another point. He says it doesn't matter whether it's true or false. The effect is the same. And any rumor, no matter how crazy, has an effect, an instant effect, which can never be cancelled. And the effect is independent of any truth or falsehood.
Yeah.
Now, Swift had another point. He says it doesn't matter whether it's true or false. The effect is the same. And any rumor, no matter how crazy, has an effect, an instant effect, which can never be cancelled. And the effect is independent of any truth or falsehood.
Yeah.
Now, this is Swift. with the great Jonathan Swift.
Yeah.
And he has obviously seen to the heart of the matter. The effect. Now, you can never measure the effect of falsehood. You can never say that this has now been contradicted, this man has now been vindicated. The fact is, he has suffered, and you can never measure. So you can never fine anybody, you can never repay anybody, and so on.
Yeah.
The damage is done instantly.
If you say war ends today, that is not a point of view. Or if war declared today, that is not a point of view. This is an all-involving situation. Situations are not a point of view. By the way, new journalism is not point of view journalism.
You tremendous, is it?
No, it's naturism.
No, but we're inclined to think that all these things that you imagine to be of such enormous importance, like, for instance, this thing we're doing now on television, because a lot of people goop at television for hours every day, you're inclined to think that's an enormously important thing. And I just think it's a sort of sign of the kind of vacuity that comes. Now, as Marshall does, 200 years ago, printing was invented. Then,
500.
500 years ago, printing was invented. Life's never been the same since then.
No, absolutely true.
I don't agree with that. I think that printing or television, all these things, they affect the surface of man. But the fascination of life, to me, is the exact opposite that I find in Socrates and St. Augustine and St. Paul, all those people who lived before printing.
But not before writing.
Oh, well, if you like.
By the way, there's a wonderful... But not before writing.
Oh, well, if you like.
By the way, there's a wonderful...
He's the man for his time and place.
What? We're having an invasion here.
You know, this could be a lot more complex. I mean, it's not just, it might not be just such a simple, you know?
What in God's holy name are you blathering about?
Yes, I'm sorry, sir, but you understand it's the ball and diamond.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm blathering about. I've got information, man.
New information has come to light.
New shit has come to light. And shit, man.
Oh, yes. Major, will you excuse this, please?
Where the fuck are you going, man?
Take the ringer. I'll drive.
What? The what?
The ringer. The ringer, dude.
Don't think I need you, mister. Just shut up and go, will you?
Have they called yet?
What the hell is this?
I think that printing or television, all these things, they affect the surface of man. But the fascination of life, to me, is the exact opposite that I find in Socrates and St. Augustine and St. Paul, all those people who lived before printing.
But not before writing.
Oh, well, if you like.
By the way, there's a wonderful book by Eric Havelock called Preface to Plato, in which he just mentions in passing that what Socrates' great contribution was to the dialectic was the ability to say, would you mind repeating that?